Hello, welcome back to meetrabbits.org. Topic of the day, why we always put nest boxes in with does that have been exposed but that we don't think are bred. So in other words, always put a nest box in with all of your does if you've attempted a breeding. All right, so here's your perfect example. Now, I bred these guys a month ago in mid-June. We had already had some days of high heat. We were going into another heat wave, and I knew this was probably going to be my last opportunity to breed until later in the summer or the beginning of fall. So I was pretty well convinced that Flory was not bred at all because she was, one, overweight, and I saw no fall-offs when I bred her to Dan. But last week, she was showing nesting behavior like a week and a half before she was due. You know, any hay that I gave her, she was picking up, stashing in the corner, carrying around. I kind of figured it was a false pregnancy. But, you know, just in case, like I said, whether I think they were bred or not, whether I saw fall-offs or not, I put a nest box in. And this morning, here we are at day 32. And here we go. This, ironically enough, you know, now I bred Flory here, my Californian buck Dan, and I also bred Lily, our second timer Champagne, and I bred Peony. I did not breed Rose because she was a little underweight, and I didn't want to breed her at that time. I wanted to get some more weight on her. She had just finished up with a litter. And I wanted to bring some weight back onto her. But here we are with Flory, and I haven't counted, but man, there's a bundle in there. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 kits in here. And that's if nobody's hiding under anybody else, which they very well could be. So this just goes to show that, one, don't assume because you didn't see a fall off that your doe is not bred. Assume she's bred, treat her like she's bred, and act accordingly with the nest box. Because, you know, there is, you know, probably could get bred without a fall off, doesn't usually happen. Or the fall off could have been kind of so subtle that you didn't notice it, or it might have been when I turned around to get some more water or another scoop of feed or something. You know, generally I'll put them together and then I'll keep an eye on while I'm out here in the rabbitry while I'm feeding. So let's look at the results of the others while we're here though. So we had Lily, and she kindled on Monday, which was actually around day 29. So she was a day early on that anyway, and she only had the one kit, which she had out of the nest box. I moved into the nest box. It looked like either it was alive when I found it, but it had some issue, had a little blood on its nose. I gave it a little while, and it ended up dying. Not real surprised because it was a singleton. It did, you know, I wouldn't call it premature, but it was a couple days early. So whether there was something else that went on there or not, who knows? But that was that, you know. She's got her nest box in. Again, just to err on the side of caution, I left the nest box in case she was going to kindle some more, which she hasn't. I'll be removing the nest box. I think that's it for her for this round. And then we had Peony. And Peony kindled as expected on time, but we only have one kit in there. So I suspect I'm not too worried about this. You know, that's not great results, except with Flory. That's fine, right? So there's Peony's singleton. And the reason I'm not concerned about that is because of that high heat. So I knew that, you know, the heat was getting high. We had had a few days over 90, not a lot of consecutive days, but we had had a few of them. And it was probably enough to reduce the fertility in the bucks. So not a big deal there. I'm not really concerned. I'm chalking this up to heat sterility and not going to worry about it. I'm going to wait. We continue to get these heat waves. We've got another one coming on Monday. Today is going to be 90. So even though we're not always in the 90s, we're having quite a lot of this hot weather. And, you know, we are getting many consistent days of it. So just chalking it up to heat sterility. Not worried about it. Not worried about it in peony. Not worried about it in lily. Dandelion I had not bred this round. And rose I had not bred this round. So again, not worried, but I was pleasantly surprised with Flory, but man, I really had her written off. But like I said, I knew that I had exposed her. So anytime we're exposing them, I'm giving them that nest box on day 28, just in case. Usually in the case of something like that, I end up just taking it back out. You know, it's not hard to do. You're not losing anything except a scoop of shavings, but you are potentially saving kits that, you know, that are delivered properly in a safe and closed environment. So again, this just underscores just prepping them right, giving them the tools they need to succeed on a just-in-case basis, keeping good track of your records so you know who you need to be putting these boxes in with and when, so that you don't miss it. And that's that. So just a reminder to all of us that even if you're not seeing those fall-offs, don't write it off. Always err on the side of caution. Give them the stuff they need. And with that, I am going to go get my water and my food, because obviously everybody is waiting and anxious. Get them well set up, get the fan on for them because it's already getting humid today. And we are going to hit 90 again. We get a little bit better over the weekend, and then we hit about 3 days of 90 early next week. So, you know, and I do expect that we're going to be sterile probably here for the remainder of the summer. Probably won't expose anybody. I probably won't even try to breed until mid to late August, but I'm really going to gauge that depending on what the weather's looking like, how the rest of our summer goes. And if the rest of this summer tracks the way this summer's tracked, I don't expect us to get back into fertility until probably September, maybe even October. So, you know, at that point, I plan to probably maybe start some exposures in August, but I'm not going to count on anything being very successful then. So hope this helps. Any comments or questions, leave them respectfully in the comment section. By the way, any other topics that you'd like to explore or hear more about, pop them in there. You know, we've gotten some great ideas for videos and information from you guys too. So happy to share that and open up some discussions to kind of, you know, support that hive mind, help each other out there. For more information, recipes, articles, all sorts of stuff, come on over to meetrabbits.org. We've got a ton of information and stuff over there. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.